Our Blood Institute is on campus. Find out their goals for this semester's blood drive. And right here on campus, we have a veteran network news correspondent. Hear his insights on the war in Iran. This is Sooner Stories. Have you ever wondered what it's like to run a blood drive or to be a news war correspondent? Hi, my name is Michael Buchanan, and this is Sooner Stories. Today in studio, we have OU Nightly reporter Sutton Parker and Our Blood Institute Executive Director Jake Cleveland joining us. Sutton, take it away.
Thanks, Michael. This week, Our Blood Institute is here on campus collecting blood and donations from students. And today we're getting a look in depth into what all goes on behind the scenes. Good afternoon, Jake. How are you doing?
I'm well, Sutton. How are you?
I'm doing well. So let's get right into it. First, tell us a little bit about the blood drive happening on campus today at the ROTC Armory.
Absolutely. So we are so grateful for the partnership with OU here. We are doing a full week blood drive in the Armory, 10 to 4, Monday through Friday. So we'll be here today till 4, Thursday, Friday till 4 in the Armory as well. And it is an incredible opportunity for OU students, OU faculty, anybody in the community to come onto the campus they love and spend some time here donating to save local lives.
Right. And so I was able to go earlier this week, and organizers told me that turnout was a little down on Monday. And what's y'all's goal for the week, and where are y'all at for meeting the goal as far as people coming in and donating blood?
Absolutely. So goal for the week is right about 300 total donations. And so Monday and Tuesday were a little bit slow. Those daily goals, we came in about 15 to 20 units shy total between the 2 days. Today is on track to meet or exceed our goal slightly, but Thursday and Friday are the biggest lift. So we're looking for 65 donors each day on Thursday and Friday this week.
All right, great. And for those people that may not be familiar, can you kind of explain the mission of the Our Blood Institute and what really y'all do here in Oklahoma?
Absolutely. So Our Blood Institute is the nation's 6th largest blood bank in all of the USA. It's here in Oklahoma. We were founded about 50 years ago and we're based here in Oklahoma City. So our goal, our mission is to be the donor to patient lifeline. And so you don't think about needing blood until you need blood or a loved one needs blood, right? And the most common uses are going to be a trauma patient, a surgery patient, a cancer patient, or a premature infant. And so our goal with OBI is to partner with incredible organizations like OU to make sure that our local hospital systems have the blood that they need to provide the care they need to give our patients.
Yeah, that's simple. Yeah, that's great. And then for students who may be nervous or donating blood for the first time, can you walk us through step-by-step process of what happens when they go in there to when they end by donating?
Absolutely. So you're going to walk into the Armory this week. If you make an appointment online, amazing, obi.org, and then hit the Give Now button, you can find OU, or you can find it on the social media pages as well. But you're going to go in and you're first going to be greeted by one of our amazing volunteers. We're going to sign you in, we're going to check you in, and then you go through screening. It's just a process to ask questions, to get general health and information to make sure that you're safe to donate and what we are able to receive and administer to patients is going to be safe as well. Most people get hung up thinking that it's going to be, the whole time I'm sitting there with the needle in the arm, it's going to hurt, when in reality it's about a 1-second pinch. I mean, you donated, yes. Right? So firsthand experience, right? I donate as often as I can as well. It's just a 1-second pinch, and then you're sitting there drinking Gatorade, eating snacks for about 10 minutes while the staff jokes around you.
Yeah, right. And so once someone donates blood, a lot of people are like, well, so where does my blood go to after I donate? So where does the blood go to? Where do y'all give the blood to people, to hospitals across the state?
Fantastic question. So the first thing that we do with the blood is that we actually take it into Oklahoma City. Our lab is in Oklahoma City, and it runs 24/7, 365. We process every drop of blood that we collect to ensure, again, you're safe and healthy. Your blood has no markers that would indicate anything wrong for you as the donor, but also so that it's safe and healthy to give right back into our hospital. So it's processed, it's tested, it's packaged, and then as our hospitals, our local hospitals here order blood from us, or they reach out and they say, hey, look, we need this type of blood or this type of blood, we have an entire team that delivers that straight to our hospitals. And so OBI, we process it in Oklahoma, and then we provide 98% of the blood products here in the great state of Oklahoma. We also respond to nationwide emergencies as needed as well. So any nationwide emergency, we're on call a certain amount of time throughout the year, where if it's Austin, Texas, or it's New York City and some tragedy happens, we're able to take some of the excess that we have over what we supply to the hospital, right? Taking care of local, and then we're able to send it nationwide to those in desperate need as well.
That's great. That's really great. So how's the blood supply looking in Oklahoma right now? Is there a shortage? And then are there any specific blood types that the state is currently in need of?
Yeah, great question, Sutton. So right now, inventory is okay. We need about 1,200 donations a day to sustain what we need here in the state of Oklahoma. And so it ebbs and flows, right? As we get inclement weather, then we're not able to host blood drives. Donors aren't able to be brought in, so it might drop. Right now, we're in really high need of O-negative donations. If you're unsure what your blood type is, if you come in to donate, we'll be able to tell you within 48 hours. O-negative, for any listeners who aren't sure, O-negative is the universal donor. It can go to anybody. So if you're a trauma patient, you're a baby, we don't know your blood type yet, you're going to receive O-negative because it's safe for any type of patient. So that's our biggest need right now.
All right, yeah. And then what factors tend to cause blood shortages throughout the year in the state?
Absolutely. So the main factor would be people not being asked. We always hear, why have you never donated blood? Well, nobody's ever asked me, right? And so general knowledge and education, people might think it hurts the whole time, or they're never asked, or they don't even know a blood drive is going on around them. That would be number one. Number two is going to be any environmental changes, right? So as we have tornado season coming up, or late January and February, we had all the ice storms that canceled several blood drives and prohibited people from coming into our centers to donate as well. Those caused shortages. And then as hospitals need, as patients need more blood, then of course they're taking more from the supply. And if we count on about 3% of healthy donors across the nation donate, well, it's supply and demand at that point, right?
All right, and final question here. For someone watching who has never donated blood before, what would you tell them who might be nervous or something like that? What's your one statement to them about, hey, maybe you should come and donate?
Absolutely. So there is a book and it's a movie. It's called Perks of Being a Wallflower. And one of the lines in the book, it says, all it takes is 6 seconds of courage to change your life. And that's what I would tell any potential donor, any listener today. You might be nervous. You might think, oh, this is going to be painful. It takes about 1 second of a pinch and you're good. But the good thing about it is every time we have someone who donates, it provides 3 products that we're able to save lives with. Every one donation saves 3 lives. So your donation yesterday saved 3 local lives for us. So my ask is for 6 seconds of bravery, 1 second of a pinch to save 3 of our local lives.
That's amazing. We really appreciate you coming and sitting down with us today. And if any of you are interested in donating blood this week, you can stop by the ROTC Armory anytime between 10 and 4 p.m. through Friday. And once again, thank you so much and good luck with the rest of your donation process in the blood drive. Michael, back to you.
Thank you, Sutton. The war in Iran continues as concerns over possible terrorism attacks in the U.S. increase. OU Nightly's Jack Hancock joins us in studio with Gaylord College professor Mike Boettcher and his insights on the war. Jack?
Thank you, Michael. Mike is an OU professor and former network correspondent. He's an expert in global terrorism as well as conflict in the Middle East. Mike, thank you for joining us today.
It's great to be here.
Well, let's get into things here. From what you've seen in previous U.S. engagements in wars similar to this, what's the greatest risk if the U.S. continues to get further involved?
The war spreads beyond regional into a world war. Certainly most countries in the world now have an interest on what's going on there because 20% of the world's petroleum comes through the Straits of Hormuz, which is blocked right now. And that's the danger we have to worry about, that this spreads, maybe not so much with missiles, but with terrorism.
There's been some concerning news in recent days coming out of Iran with potential terror strikes. Where is the greatest risk in the U.S. and how is that assessed?
You know, it's hard to say the greatest risk. I think, Iran has already indicated that some of the big American tech companies might be targets. Of course, military installations and high-profile buildings and sites in the United States. Certainly we saw that in 9/11 many years ago, something that I covered and was part of trying to find out the origins of. But that is the definition of terrorism. You don't know where it's coming from until it comes.
And with that, is there any way that the U.S. government can kind of try and prepare, for lack of better words?
Oh, well, the U.S. government's been preparing a long time for this, you know. We have a rather sophisticated information gathering system around the world that's very high tech. The problem with terrorists is the only way to defeat high tech is with low tech. So their communications are kept at a very basic level. They're not using cell phones or computers. They're using things as rudimentary as shortwave, and you know, there are other means to communicating in person. So you just don't know where it's coming from. And the biggest danger are what are called lone wolf inspired terrorist attacks that aren't planned. It's someone who's inspired by a terrorist group or a government that supports terrorism and then commits a terrorist act on his own. And that is a constant threat because you never know where that's coming from.
There have been discussion in recent days of Iranian-linked sleeper cells in the Western countries. Mm-hmm. From your experience, how realistic of a threat is that, and kind of what does that threat look like? It's
very real. I mean, they have put in this system for decades where they've established sleeper cells all over the world. And I was really deep into this back pre 9/11 and after 9/11. Certainly that was Al-Qaeda. It was different. But Iran has been the biggest state sponsor of terrorism on the planet. They don't have ballistic missiles that can reach the United States, but the weapon that they do have are terrorist cells. And those cells, I believe, they were here 25 years ago. They're still here. There are indications, according to reports that have come out in the last few days, that Iran may be trying to communicate with these sleeper cells to activate them. I don't have personal confirmation of that, but I know that is a system that has been in place quite some time, and I know that is real because I've reported on it.
Also in recent days, ABC News, who you reported with, said that the FBI warned police in California that Iran could retaliate by launching drones on the West Coast. What kind of cause for concern is this?
Well, this is a brand new one. A drone attack on the West Coast would be the Pearl Harbor of this generation. Drone warfare is something that we're still learning about, and how to defend against it and how to use it offensively, as the U.S. military has done for quite some time now. Drones can be very small and create a lot of damage. They can be launched from anything. One of the biggest threats is, it could be a container ship off the coast, off the West Coast. Or it could be one of the things they're looking for is the possibility of that sort of attack coming from Mexico, and coming from drug cartels, who have already talked about using drones to attack DEA operations that are going on along the border. The Iranians have worked with drug cartels on and off over the decades since they took power. And I don't think that sort of attack is out of the realm of possibility, and it's yet something else we have to worry about.
What are the warning signs that this, you had mentioned earlier that this regional conflict could grow into something much larger than that. I'd assume there are some warning signs to look for before that happens. What are some of those?
Well, skyrocketing gas prices, and we're already seeing that. Inflation around the world. Food shortages because fertilizer can't get out of there, that creates civil unrest around the globe. And countries had to act in order to get those goods that they need coming through the Straits of Hormuz from the Persian Gulf. So, the thing is with war, the enemy always has a vote. We may say the war is over. The president might say that and think it's ended. But the enemy always has a vote, and it's not over until both sides agree that it's over. And I think if it does spread, I think it'll be something that there really won't be a lot of advance warning about. It'll just happen. Something that we can't even predict will happen in that part of the world. Something's attacked, and some installation, some U.S. installation, or something in Europe, or the biggest threat would be some terrorist attack occurring, and the U.S. feels it must respond in a very heavy way against Iran. If that happens, that could bring it, or if NATO's attacked. If a missile gets through into Turkey, Article 5 of NATO's, the self-defense, an attack on one is an attack on all, means that all of Europe and the United States would be involved in fighting back against Iran. There is no way to predict that. All you can do is be ready for it.
You talked about how NATO could get involved if an allied power is struck. Do you think that NATO involvement is likely to become even greater as this progresses?
I don't think NATO wants to be involved in this particular war, but that self-defense clause in the NATO treaty could be triggered by an attack. I don't think it's something Europe wants to do and our NATO allies want to do. I think they're trying to avoid that at all costs and find ways not to do that. But if it's a big enough attack, and it's against a European ally, a NATO ally, then there will have to be a response.
And with that response, as you had mentioned, people could claim victory in this war, but and as you had said, the enemy is the one that ultimately gets to make that call. But in your eyes, what does an end to this war likely look like?
You got me. I really don't know. I mean, and that's why there's a lot of criticism of this operation, that no one is saying precisely what the end game is. In my lifetime, the only war I've covered that had a precise end game was Desert Storm, the first Gulf War. President H.W. Bush said that we're going to take back Kuwait, diminish Saddam Hussein's army, but we're not going all the way into Iraq and taking Baghdad and taking over this country. And that's precisely what he did, and that war ended until his son started the second war, which ended up being one of the longest wars in American history.
You had talked a little bit about how the end of this attack isn't very clear, but the beginning we can trace back to the killing of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. In your eyes, how much does targeting leadership throughout warfare change the trajectory?
Decapitation doesn't work as a be-all, end-all, because there's always somebody else there to take over. And what happens is, you kill enough people, you're going to radicalize the families around that people and generations to come, and it creates more radicals and people who want to attack, to take revenge. It's decapitation from the air doesn't work. If you're going to have a decapitation strike, it has to be followed by soldiers on the ground and Marines who would come in and take territory. Not in the history of modern warfare has an aerial decapitation strike not followed by a ground force coming in to seize territory, has it ever changed anything.
Do you think that's the likely next steps for the U.S.?
I hope not. I mean, frankly, I say I hope not, because personally, I've covered a lot of wars and I know how horrific it is. And I hope we find a way out of this without putting boots on the ground. But for example, in the Straits of Hormuz, the only way to maybe secure that is for ground forces to go in on the Iranian side and control that section of Iran. You know, that is one scenario that's been talked about. You know, certainly there's movement among U.S. ground forces who were supposed to, like the 82nd Airborne, who were supposed to take part in an exercise that canceled it. The speculation was that maybe they're preparing to go in because they're one of our airborne units. I don't know, and no one's going to tell me, and if I knew, I wouldn't say. But I would say that I hope that our political leadership really thinks long and hard before they do put American soldiers, Marines, sailors, and airmen on the ground in a foreign combat zone.
Mike, thank you so much for joining us today and all your insight.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Jack.
Michael, back to you.
Thank you, Jack, and thank you for watching. Tune in next time for more Sooner Stories.